Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. You know, for all of Donald Trump's authoritarianism and his assault on our rights and bulldozing the institutions of our government, the Trump administration this time around has been really bad at actually legislating, like the stuff of making laws, the stuff of democracy. I mean, remember, Republicans came in with a government trifecta, and while Trump has set records for executive orders, he hasn't exactly been setting records for laws he's signed. In fact, you can literally count them on one hand. Trump has so far signed just 5 bills into law, fewer than any president in the first 100 days of an administration since at least Dwight D. Eisenhower in the 1950s, according to an NBC News analysis. That's pretty wild, right? Like, Donald Trump, he's got this big agenda. They're like totally transforming the government. He's got congressional majorities that, you know, he controls. Now, one big reason for the lack of Trump legislation this time around is that Republicans have set up a kind of division of labor that works for them, not for the people. Trump gets to play king, and he issues all the decrees he wants, and members of Congress get to kind of shrug their shoulders when they get confronted in town halls by constituents asking things like, why did you fire the park rangers? Why are you giving Elon Musk and his crew access to my personal info? Why did the Social Security Administration call me dead? But there is a clock ticking on this because Trump and Republicans do have this really big thing they want to do. It's an agenda they can only achieve through legislation, which is cut taxes for rich people and cut health care for non-rich people. And that happens to be really, really unpopular, like incredibly unpopular. If you can remember all the way back to Trump's first term, a lot of us blocked it out, but his most unpopular moments, aside from January 6th, right, before then, his most unpopular moves were his 2 big legislative pushes. The first was his unsuccessful attempt at repealing the Affordable Care Act, which ended in the middle of the night with Republican John McCain's notorious thumbs down on the Senate floor. And the second was the successful Republican attempt to cut taxes for corporations and rich people, adding $1.5 trillion to the national debt. It did, however, have a catchy name. It was called the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, TCJA. Decent branding. Now, this time around, congressional Republicans seemed inclined to put their priorities into a few separate bills because it's a lot, and the politics are quite tricky, and they have an especially historically narrow margin in the House. But instead, the president has been obsessed with another strategy laid out in December by former Trump economic advisor and current Fox Business host Larry Kudlow.
Put together a real reconciliation bill that includes border security and tax cuts. That's what I want.
We absolutely can do that. And the plan is to put the border security and some defense components of reconciliation out first and then follow it up with the tax component.
No. All at once, ma'am. All at once. As sources close to President Trump are telling us, he would like one big, beautiful bill.
I mean, who doesn't love a good BBB? Sources close to Trump. So this time around, right, Republicans have combined, get this, they've combined the 2 least popular elements from Trump's last term, the tax cut for rich people and cuts to health care for the non-rich, into one big, beautiful bill. Republicans, who are bad at governing but decent at messaging, came up with a big, beautiful name for the bill. It was going to be called the Renewing the American Dream Act, which, you know, sounds good. But when Trump heard that, according to Punchbowl reporter Jake Sherman, he had Kudlow's reaction to the name. No. You actually have to call it One Big, Beautiful Bill.
Well, I like one big, beautiful bill, and I always have, I always will.
One big, beautiful bill. I'd like to name it that if you can.
That gorgeous, big, beautiful bill.
Our big, beautiful bill, as I call it, our big, beautiful bill.
Great, big, beautiful bill. Beautiful bill. And we're trying to come up with a name, and I said, why don't we just call it the Great, Big, Beautiful Bill?
And I think we can finally say one big, beautiful bill.
We're going to abbreviate it as the OBBB, or is it just a BBB? Republicans, who are even better at caving to Donald Trump than they are at messaging, have decided to name the bill One Big Beautiful Bill, which is just perfect. Here's the thing. You can call it whatever you want. The bill's substance is extraordinarily unpopular. It, of course, extends tax cuts for businesses and billionaires. It boosts spending on immigration enforcement by eye-watering amounts. I mean, enormous amounts, along with huge increases to the Pentagon budget, jacking up the debt ceiling, and would cost so much it's stressing out almost everyone on Capitol Hill. As NBC News reports, Republicans facing tough re-election fights in the 2026 midterm elections are worried it's not mathematically possible to achieve their spending targets without a steep cut to Medicaid, citing estimates from the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office. Because, you see, in order to offset part of the bill's costs, they need to find a whopping $880 billion in Medicaid cuts. That's a lot. So, here's the thing. Mike Johnson, congressional Republicans are caught in this uneasy political position. They have already been trying to duck headlines and constituents as Elon Musk waves his chainsaw around, unilaterally slashing benefits all over the place. And now members are asking themselves this crucial question. How exactly do you cut $800 billion from Medicaid without people realizing you are cutting $800 billion from Medicaid? They not only have to find these cuts and get agreement on them from their caucus, they also have to kind of work out a cover story, like what kind of story they're going to tell people about these cuts. And so far, it's not going well.
I have to ask one question about the tax bill. Will we get it before Memorial Day?
No, there's no way because, again, unfortunately, President Trump chose the one big, beautiful bill. What he should have done is the multiple step process. I suggested 3 steps. Get the border funding. Second step, just extend current tax law so we take an automatic tax
Will we get it before the end of the year, quickly?
Not if we don't come down with a reasonable pre-pandemic level spending. There's enough of us in the Senate that will not agree to that.
Oh, boy, that's bad news.
Oh, boy. It is bad news. Well, for them, because they're trying to preserve tax cuts that expire at the end of the year. On the other side of that, they're facing midterm elections with the president who's polling worse than any other president ever at the 100-day mark of his administration. And they have yet not started doing the thing that will most likely be the least popular thing they do, slashing Medicaid benefits to finance more tax cuts.